Back in the book segment time, big debate coming up in a few minutes right here on the Fox News channel. So let's get right to Karl Rove in D.C. for a preview. All right, so from my perspective here, all Mitt Romney has to do tonight is not fall down or throw up, right? I mean, all he has to do is kind of smile and go, there you go again, be a little Reagan-esque, and he's got it.
Well, he's got to do more than that, I think. I think you're right. Don't make those two mistakes that you talked about. But I think he has got to tonight sort of strike a reassuring note. It's not just simply to survive tonight. He needs to say things about the Bain Capital attacks. He needs to handle them in such a way, as he's done in previous debates, that people at the end of the night say, you know what, I can see him in the Oval Office, and I have confidence that he'll be able to take the attack that's coming his way from Obama and turn it back on him.
All right, but all the polls say this Bain stuff's not getting any traction in South Carolina. Do you expect Mitt Romney and Rick Perry to throw a lot of stuff at him about that?
I expect Newt Gingrich and Rick Perry to potentially throw some stuff. You said Mitt Romney, but that's okay.
Gingrich and Perry.
Yeah, look, they might, but look, even if they don't, Romney needs to find a way to bring up the issue because, look, we got 2 or 3 things going on here. One thing is, you're right, this issue has boomeranged badly upon Gingrich and Perry. It's hurting their positives and negatives. That is to say, it's driving up their negatives, driving down their positives. But it is a general election issue that has emerged early, and Republicans want to know that Romney is going to be able to take it on and win. The second thing is that it is a way to unify conservatives. Look, you know, Jim DeMint, Rush Limbaugh, Rick Santorum, and Ron Paul all defended Mitt Romney against Rick Perry and Newt Gingrich. That's sort of hard to bring about, but those two guys brought it about. And thirdly, look, this is a way for him to positively begin to lay the foundation for the general election. And as he moves forward here, assuming he wins on Saturday and wins by a convincing margin, he needs to seek every opportunity between now and the end of the primary season to frame up the general election, because there'll come a point sometime this spring, if Romney does get a win on Saturday and then wins in Florida, there'll get to be a point where people are going to pay less attention to the presidential contest, and he needs to have seized every moment before that point in order to lay the foundation for the general election.
All right, so you expect him then to be very, very well prepared tonight to put a positive face on his Bain Capital experience. He's got to go out and he's got to say 2 or 3 things that, here's what I did, this is why it was worthy. Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. You've been listening to the program tonight, right? The whole Factor show tonight.
Right.
Do you have any idea what this racism thing is all about? I don't get this. Go ahead.
Sure. Sure. Look, the president runs the risk of not being reelected unless the African American community turns out to the degree that it did in 2008 and gives him what they gave him in 2008. He got 97% of a very large African American turnout. Now, in the years since then, the promises of jobs and economic progress have fallen flat. They're concerned about him as an American leader. They're worried about his leadership. And as a result, they're not wired up as much as they were. And look, you go to a state like Florida, or better yet, North Carolina. President won North Carolina by 0.32% turnout. If the African American turnout is 1% less of the turnout than it was in 2008, the president loses, and everybody votes exactly the same.
But this is why
the president loses.
Let me make this counterpoint to that. By doing all of this race stuff, he alienates independents who voted for him the first time around. So yes, might be able to mobilize the African-American community and bloc to go and say, yeah, it is about race, and he's getting the shaft because of all of this stuff. But then white voters, Hispanic voters, Asian voters in the middle are going to, some of them I know, are going to go, this is absurd. Yeah. So what he gets on one, he loses on the other, does he not?
Well, but look, I'm not justifying it. I'm simply saying I understand why they're doing
tactics. You're right about the tactics, but
here's the deal. Here's the deal. They're making a calculation that whatever damage they suffer from people saying, well, you are unfairly injecting race into this, is offset by whatever advantage they get from the African American community. I don't claim it's a smart
would you do it if you were an Obama advisor?
Look,
understanding he has trouble in the economy,
offensive.
Would you do it?
This is offensive, frankly, and it involves things like Eric Holder going out today and depicting laws that require you to show a voter ID as being racist in nature. I mean, you know, I thought it was interesting earlier on, and Alan Colmes, who was so vehement in his denial, look, he's right. The violations happened in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the 2008 presidential election when George W. Bush was in office. But it was the Bush Justice Department that pursued it. It was the Obama Justice Department that dropped the charges. Why? Because it didn't want to have the flashback in the African American community from this kind of prosecuting this kind of intimidation. So yeah, look, they're going to press it. I think it's offensive, and it ought to be offensive to any American, Republican, Democrat, or Independent.
All right, Mr. Rove, thanks very much. Pinheads and Patriots on deck. One last thought about Tim Tebow. P&P, moments away.